Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Tonight we're checking out the all-new redesigned Toyota Tundra, 2022 Toyota Tundra at night. So this video focuses on the interior and exterior lighting of the vehicle. Check my channel for the full overview. It's a separate video. When the vehicle's locked and you approach it with the key, at a certain point it will sense the key just by having the key with you. You don't have to touch it or anything. It could just be with you. And then you'll see the interior mood lighting just kind of turns on. It's not a very bright light, but it does have some mood lighting, and also a little bit of a dim interior light turns on. But none of the exterior lights turn on when it senses the key. It's just that little bit of interior light that turns on. Now when we unlock the doors, the bed lights turn on, the tail lights turn on, and the lights there in the front. But still, we don't have any kind of approach lights or side lights here where you're walking. A little bit of a darker spot right here. And when you unlock the doors and those cargo lights turn on, and only when the cargo lights are on, this light here on the tailgate, which is a really good approach light, I wish they had something like that on the sides, is illuminated right here. So as you approach the vehicle, this whole back of it is completely illuminated, which is really nice. And it's only when the cargo lights are on. When you have the headlight switch to the complete off position and the vehicle's running, you can actually turn off all the exterior lights, which is nice. Some vehicles don't allow you to do that. Now I have the parking lights on, and when the parking lights are on, these fairly bright LED white lights are here on the front, and a little bit brighter there on the edge. I don't know if you can see that difference there, and there at the bottom. And also the fog lights. If you have the fog light switch turned on, the fog lights will turn on as well. And these are all LED lights here, exterior lights. So the fog lights, they're very, very low, and it's 3 projector LEDs. And they're not that easy to see during the day because they're at such a low position. So at nighttime you can see them nicely. So these are just the parking lights on. Also, there's an amber side marker here. You can see that here on the side. Not super bright. That white portion is even brighter. Tail lights are also on, also LED. There's a little side marker right there, but basically the tail lights they're visible there on the side and also here in the back. And you can see it's like 3 separate lights each side, and it looks a little orangey on camera. Always looks orangey. But they are a nice deep red color. 3 separate distinct lights back here. Very tall and slender. Looking really nice. And quite bright and visible. The turn signal here in the front is very interesting. It has a little bit of a strange look, and it's also within that white portion as well. And it's amber in color. And let me turn the brightness down, because it is like it's like an additional light within this white portion. And certain angles it's hard to see, but it's pretty bright. I mean, it's actually pretty darn bright. But since it's within that white portion, sometimes it doesn't stand out quite that much here on the camera. It is amber in color, but when you're in the very front, you can see it nicely. I mean, it is bright here from this angle, nice and bright. You can see that, but certain angles you don't see it quite as good. There's also a amber side marker or turn signal indicator here on the side mirror. Not super bright. Can see it at nighttime pretty decent. During the day it's not all that visible, but you can see it from the front, side, and back here. And the tail lights has like this sequential animation to the 3 tail lights, and it's basically the same lights, just flashing brighter in the same color red. There's a button right here that you can push, and it turns on a light on the side mirror right here. And basically what that does is shine right in that area. So this is really handy when you are when you're backing up a trailer you can see right behind the vehicle, because the reverse lights you see here on the side, because the reverse lights are kind of here in the center part, right in here. So if you have a trailer behind the vehicle, then that trailer obscures the reverse lights. So this light right here, which is quite bright, LED, just goes right there on the side of the vehicle and goes all the way to the side of the trailer as well. So this is what it looks like in front of the vehicle with the parking lights on. And you can see there is some light shining in front, like the headlights are kind of on. But let's go ahead and turn the headlights actually on now, so you can see the difference there. There's the high beams, low beams, and then back to that light. You get the difference there. Okay, so there's the low beams. So there's a quad projector headlight system here, and there's 3 of them right now illuminated. And it's nice tight focus to these beams. Really impressive going down the road. We'll look at it going down the road. But it seems to do a really good job of filling the road nicely with the multiple lights here for the low beams, and the high beams look good too. And of course the fog lights are still on. Now the high beams just adds this additional 4th focused projector here. So right in there. So now, as we're looking here, as I dip down, you can see that inner portion illuminates or shines on the camera first. It's actually already shining on the camera right now. And as I dip down, all of them will join in together. And it's quite bright, even at this high position. So when I go really high with the camera, it gets a little bit less. But right here where my face is, it has a bright light right there. And as I continue down, they all join in together. So let's go ahead and lower the tailgate, and we'll push this button here on the side. Since this is the high trim, that you can push that button and it lowers the tailgate. It also pops this little step right here out, so you can step in the vehicle. But check it out, this bed is completely illuminated. You have the light there on the back of the cab, and so you can basically see all 4 corners of this bed. No problem. Nice bright lights in multiple locations. So even if you put stuff back here and it casts a shadow from one light, you have all these other lights that illuminate the bed nicely. The inside of the back door here, it does have an accent light, what they're calling mood lighting, right in here at the top. There's also a little mood light right under here as well. And then there's a finder light, so you can find the power window switch there in the dark. But the rest of the door is dark. There's no puddle light or anything like that. The back seat is illuminated by these 2 pinpoint LED lights, and they're quite bright. They are quite bright, and they do a decent job, especially with this light interior. I have some of my camera equipment here in the floorboard. You can see it pretty decent. Not super bright, but you can see it. There's also some backlit buttons here for the heated and vented seats. But there's some USB ports down here and power inverter that is not illuminated down here. Now there's another issue, and that is when you lift this up and look in your cargo area, you'll notice that these lights are not strategically located to illuminate in this area. So although they do a decent job in the areas in which are already kind of visible anyway, in the areas in which that are potentially dark, they miss the opportunity to locate these lights in a more forward position so they can illuminate this area. So this is almost completely dark, even though I have all the interior lights on. So this is a big problem, you know, that they didn't at least have a light in here if they're going to have these located in a way that to where they're not going to shine in the cargo area. At least have a light in this little cargo area, because this is a big deal. You know, this is where you need to try to find something in the dark, and it's dark and it's black in here and all that stuff. So, you know, some vehicles have it the light positioned where the seat won't be in the way, casting a shadow or something. You know, when you're opening up a compartment, you can still, the light shines in there, the same light. This one, they failed to do that. I'm kind of surprised. Inside of the front door, we do have a puddle light. Check it out. It shines on the ground so we can see what we're stepping in when we get in and out of the vehicle. We have that mood lighting right in here. Same thing with right here. Looking pretty cool. And then you have the backlit buttons, so you can find your switches and knobs and all that stuff. Same thing here to the left of the steering column. Nicely black backlit. Also, the floorboard is illuminated, but that's part of the mood lighting, which turns off when you turn that feature off. And then once again, you have lights here in the center that are only kind of shining in your lap area. So there's some areas in which you're, even with all the interior lights on, you have trouble seeing. We'll see that in just a second. Okay, so I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I have the door open with the interior lights on. And there's some patchiness here. We'll get to that in a minute. As I shut the door, the interior lights turn off, and we're left with backlit buttons, mood lighting, and the screens here. So you can see there on the door, there's some backlit buttons here to the left of the steering column. Now the floorboard is illuminated, and that's part of the mood lighting. So you can change the brightness, and you can also turn it off. Same thing with here on the door, but then the backlit buttons are here on the steering wheel. Here's the gauge cluster, and you can adjust the brightness here. So let me just cycle through and see what it looks like here. And it adjusts a lot of other lights as well as you're doing that. These backlit buttons here in the center are adjusted. It does not adjust the screen. And even when you turn it off, when you put it at the lowest setting, it turns the mood lighting off. So there's another way of turning it off. The main way is up here, and you can hit the mood lighting button, and you just kind of one press is lower, another press is off. First press is full blast, lower, and then so it's just 3 settings there. You just rest on the one that you want. But I think it looks good on, and it doesn't really interfere with anything. Especially, I like the softness to the light in the floorboard. It's on both sides there, and on the door it looks nice. Even the little pocket has some illumination. So yeah, I'm liking the mood lighting. Mood lighting is what they're calling it. So the screen looks good. You have different views here. It's in night mode. And the backlit buttons here. There's a little light right in here, so you can see where you're putting your cell phone, and also this little compartment is illuminated. The cup holders are dark though, but you can see there's a light right here. If you follow that up, it's coming from up here. So right there, there's a light that shines down and kind of illuminates the center area nicely. Just a very soft kind of moonlight. While we're up here, you can see that all these buttons are backlit. Even the button to turn on the interior lights, which is nice because some vehicles don't even bother to do that. And then you have individual lights up here. And then the visors have a very bright LED right in your face and next to the mirror there. Okay, so the glove compartment does have a little bit of a light in there, which is nice, very welcome. The center console lifts up, and you have a light in here as well, which is nice, and also a little finder lights around the USB ports there. Really nice. I'm going to turn on the interior light so you just see that the interior light doesn't shine in here much, so it's a good thing that it does have a light. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble. Now, you don't want to fill it up to where it obscures this light, because then it's going to be dark in here. So the interior lights are kind of more in your lap and not so much in the compartments. So keep that in mind. But the fact that the compartments are lit, except for here, there's a compartment here. You can't see. I have the interior lights on. And I have the camera actually turned out the brightness quite a bit, and this area is not that visible. There's a little compartment there that's dark, even with the interior lights on. Cup holders here are dark. You know, if you use that for other things besides cups, then, you know, could be a little dark. Even with all the interior lights on, you should be able to see in some of these places, but you can. It's not a huge deal. Other vehicles are worse, but I just want to point it out. So these interior lights kind of focus more in this area here, and, you know, less in the back. You can tell there with the passenger seats, they're more in the lap and not in the face, which is good, but, you know, certain areas, at least put the pocket lights in the pockets and the cup holders and stuff would be nice. Look at the camera. Let me turn the interior lights off. Okay, so you can see really good around the vehicle. So there's parking lot lights, but you can see there's a shadow right there where they don't reach, and you can still see a little bit in there as well. So there's the front view, the rear view, the side views, the other side views the other direction, the bed lights here, which I have the brake light on, which is illuminating the bed. When I let go, you can see, you can't really see a huge amount in there. Alright, so let's go back to that and that. Alright, so let's go ahead and turn on the camera without putting it in reverse, and it goes to that like around view, which is pretty cool. View camera system is really good too. It's quite a bit brighter than it kind of amplifies the brightness, and you can adjust it. It has like a little menu right here, and you can adjust the brightness, the position, and all that stuff. You can see right there. When you hit this button, it kind of pops up that menu system there. So I have it on the brightest setting, and it's not overly bright, but it's bright enough to where you can see in the dark, which is nice. So I have the automatic high beams on. Right now it's on low beams. You can see that that pattern there on the fence. And you'll notice it's a little bit lower on the left side than the right side. Now this is intended to not blind oncoming traffic, which it does seem to do a good job. There's the high beams, there's the low beams. You can see it just kind of adds additional light there, and you still have that cutoff there on the sides. So they all work together, all four of those. Quad projector, and I like the way it doesn't have any kind of active bending and all that kind of stuff. It's just really good lighting and works well. So the automatic high beams are on, and man, is it bright light. You can see the ground really nice, even with these oncoming traffic, which is supposed to be below their eye level on their side. Automatic high beams went up there for a second, but hopefully it won't blind anybody. We'll keep them on for right now. But you can see that cutoff kind of goes up and down as we hit bumps. And so with that lower side, it kind of helps out with not blinding other people. But so far, it's very bright. I've been very impressed with the headlights on this truck every time I drive it at night. Okay, so here's the high beams, and nothing wrong with that. These are nice. These are really nice. The light is evenly distributed on the road. You can see the trees in the distance, kind of really high up. You can shines the lights really high up. But yeah, all those 4 projectors do a good job of overlapping enough to where it's not patchy on the road, and we can see quite nicely. They're on the sides of the road as well. We can see a distance, and now the automatic high beams just dimmed because there's a car coming, so that's good. But yeah, now this is one of those type of roads that has the trees cut back further from the road than other roads around here, kind of like tunnels. So this road helps out with seeing the distance of the high beams and all that stuff, especially there on the sides, so you can see all the way down into the sides.